Okay, in problem number 44, we have given 4 points, A, B, C, and D, and we're asked to decide what kind of a quadrilateral it is. Best thing to do is graph them first. So I'm going to graph 3, 2. That would be point A. 1, -2. Point B. 2, -5. 5. That would be point C. And 4, -1. Point D. I'm going to connect them to kind of get an idea for what it looks like. I'm pretty sure it's a parallelogram, but I'm going to have to also show if it is a parallelogram that it's not certain other special types of parallelograms. To show it's a parallelogram, I think the midpoint formula is the easiest one to do. Basically, because the midpoints of the diagonals will be the same if it is a parallelogram, because the diagonals will bisect each other. So the midpoint formula up in the top right is x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. That's the formula I'll be using. So I'm going to find the midpoint of AC first. AC would be 3 plus 2 over 2, and 2 plus -5 over 2, which is 5 halves and -3 halves. The midpoint of BD is going to be 1 plus 4 over 2, and -2 plus -1 over 2, which is 5 over 2 and -3 over 2. Since these have the same midpoint, AC bisects BD and vice versa. So therefore, ABCD is a parallelogram. Okay, now that it's a parallelogram, we have to show that it is not a rhombus and not a rectangle. If it was a rhombus, then the diagonals would also be perpendicular to one another. So I'm going to use the slope formula to show that the diagonals AC, to find the slope of each of the diagonals, AC and BD, and we're going to decide if they're perpendicular and decide, therefore, is it a rhombus. I'm going to use the slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the slope formula. So the slope for AC is -5 minus 2 over 2 minus 3, or -7 over -1, which is just 7. In BD, the slope for BD is -1 minus -2 over 4 minus 1, which is basically 1 over 3, 1/3. If they were perpendicular, these would be negative reciprocals of one another, meaning that if this was 7, this would have to be -1 over 7, or this would have to be -3 to be the reciprocal of 1/3. And since this is not true, AC is not perpendicular to BD, so therefore it is not a rhombus. All right. My last check is going to be to see whether or not 2 of the sides are perpendicular, because if 2 of the sides are perpendicular, then it's a rectangle. So I'm going to use the slope formula again, same formula. I'm going to find the slope of AD, that side, and the slope of AB, and I'm going to see if these are negative reciprocals. The slope of AD will be -1 minus 2 over 4 minus 3, which is -3 over 1, just -3. And AB is going to be -2 minus 2 over 1 minus 3. Basically, that's -4 over -2, or just 2. Since these are not negative reciprocals, AD is not perpendicular to AB, so therefore it is not a rectangle. If it's not a rhombus and not a rectangle, it is just a parallelogram.